Today, I'm going to talk to you about downtown Miami, pros and cons. So if you're thinking about moving to downtown Miami, but you're just not really sure about that neighborhood, well, today I'm going to talk to you about downtown Miami, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, everything that you need to know about living in this part of Miami-Dade. Downtown Miami is one of Miami's most popular neighborhoods. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about what you need to know about living in downtown Miami, and I'm going to get started now. Hey everyone, my name's Jamie Pretzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami-Dade. I work with my husband, Ogden Pretzi, and our team. Today, I'm going to talk to you about downtown Miami, the pros, the cons. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another update. We do put out new videos every week. Also, use the link in our information box and download our free relocation guide. That guide page is super long. I think you'll find it very interesting and everyone loves it. So don't forget to download that. In the information box, you can also find a Calendly link. So if you would like to schedule a free buyer consultation with us, be sure to click on that link and get on our calendar, or you can use the good old-fashioned ways of calling, texting, and emailing, and my information is there as well. All right, let's get started. So in this video today, I'm going to talk to you about some things to do in downtown Miami, the traffic in downtown Miami, events, and then also some real estate information that you will find super interesting if you are thinking about buying in downtown Miami. First, let's talk about the location of downtown Miami. Downtown Miami is a very central area in Miami-Dade County. It's located right off of Biscayne Boulevard. It's very close to Brickell. It's very close to Midtown and Edgewater. It's about a 15 to 20 minute drive to Miami Beach, just depending on what time of day you're thinking about driving there. But it's important to know that the location of downtown Miami is incredible. You can get to the airport fairly quickly, and you can get to Coconut Grove or Coral Gables. Overall, it's a very central location in Miami-Dade, but we always have that traffic factor that you do need to factor in, but generally speaking, the area and the location is really good. Another great thing about the location of downtown Miami is in these units, the views are incredible. Downtown Miami is along Biscayne Boulevard, and so that provides views in these units that can overlook Biscayne Bay in other parts of the city, and the views are pretty spectacular day and night. As downtown Miami is growing rapidly, it offers a lot of things to do. The Adrienne Arsht Performing Arts Center is there. There is also the Perez Art Museum, the Frost Science Museum. Some of the hot and hip tourist destinations are in downtown Miami, like the museum, the Performing Arts Center. Bayfront Park, which is an outside mall, is in downtown Miami. And also Ultra is also located in downtown Miami when it comes to town. And just to give you a point of reference, if you've ever been to Ultra, that's where it's hosted in downtown Miami in Bayfront Park. So it's just good to know that there's a lot of stuff going on in downtown Miami. We have incredible restaurants. El Gabbiano is in downtown Miami. One of Balud's restaurants is also located there. And then Ceviche 105, Ogden's favorite restaurant, is in downtown Miami. So there is just a lot going on in terms of restaurants, outside dining, shopping, and cultural events. Downtown Miami has it all. And a lot of these buildings, they have anchor stores at the bottom, a lot of retail shops, and those shops also have a lot of restaurants and spas and things to do. So downtown Miami definitely has a lot of opportunity for things to do. Another pro for downtown Miami are all of the attractions that are located right in this area. For example, as I mentioned before, you have the Bayside Marketplace. There's also the Perez Art Museum, the Frost Science Museum, the Adrienne Arsht Center, and also that's where the Miami Heat plays. So there are a lot of activities and big venues in downtown Miami. All right, something that's not so positive about downtown Miami could be the traffic. And it really depends on what time of day you're driving through downtown Miami. If you're there on off-peak hours, it will not be that crazy busy. But if you're trying to get to downtown Miami during rush hour or some other big event, like if there's a big Heat game at the arena, you're going to encounter a bit of traffic. So the traffic is definitely a con of living in downtown Miami. Also, one other con about the traffic is if there is an accident on any of those bridges that lead into downtown Miami or any of the highways that lead into downtown Miami, it can cause a lot of backups in that area because there are only so many streets leading in and out of that area. And one accident can just create a traffic nightmare for that part of the city. When it comes to real estate, downtown Miami is one of the most popular areas. And that is really because a lot of these real estate products have been built over the years to compete and strategically compete with other really popular areas, for example, Miami Beach and Brickell. So let's talk a little bit about the price points for some of these buildings in downtown Miami. And I'm going to first start with the properties that are priced at the entry price points. So let's talk a little bit about properties along Biscayne Boulevard like Marina Blue, Met One, Vizcaya, 50 Biscayne, and 1 Miami. These buildings are already established buildings with great associations, so you can really see a history of what is going on in these buildings over the years. Right now in these buildings there are 75 units for sales, and if you look at the data over the past 6 months, they're selling on average. Now remember, this is all of these buildings grouped together, so we can have highs, we can have lows off of this number, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea about what these properties and these buildings cost. So they're selling on average of around $569 per square foot. And all of these buildings were built between 2005 and 2008. Let's go to option B and let's talk a little bit more about properties in 900 Biscayne, Marquee, and Paramount. That's a little bit higher end luxury product. And I would say this is probably the second tier of pricing for buildings in downtown Miami. These buildings are more luxury properties, especially Paramount Miami. This building is located behind Marina Blue, so it's not waterfront, but the pricing is equivalent to some of the other high-end buildings around the city. These are already established associations. The amenities and services in the buildings are spectacular. They have incredible units with excellent finishes. And right now there are 94 units for sale in these buildings. And if you look at data over the past 6 months, they're selling at an average of $718 per square foot. All of these buildings are also built between 2008 and 2018. Now we say newer here because we have a lot of old real estate. So just keep in mind, it's everyone's perspective of what's newer. I would say anything that was built in like 2000-ish is kind of considered newer here because that's when a lot of buildings were built in many areas throughout the city, sort of like the newer style buildings with the newer luxury finishes. And next, let's go with the top highest in luxury pricing in this area. For example, 1000 Museum. This is the top of the line building in downtown Miami. And this building was really built to compete with a lot of buildings in South of Fifth, the higher end luxury buildings. If you've ever watched any of our videos, I recently did a video about South of Fifth. And so this is really important to know that these developers, they really do take into consideration other parts of the city and what is selling. And then they start building products to compete, to bring people maybe over into downtown Miami to say, hey, look, I know you like South of Fifth. I know that's a really high-end, super luxury area of Miami, but would you like to consider maybe buying in downtown Miami? You can get a little bit more for your money, well, a lot more for your money in terms of real estate, so consider 1000 Museum. And a lot of these buildings are built in that way, and then they're marketed in that way. But 1000 Museum is in its own space. I mean, it's top probably in the world for real estate. Right now, there are 7 units for sale in this building, and they are selling at an average of $1,700 per square foot. 1000 Museum was built in 2019. Another factor that could be considered a con for downtown Miami is that there really are no single family homes. This is mostly condominium living in this area. It's mostly high-rise luxury buildings, huge, big buildings. And so if you are not a fan of those higher end luxury buildings with a lot of units and elevators and people coming in and out, downtown Miami may not be for you. So just know that this is one of the most popular areas in the city, and for good reason, because it's pretty spectacular. The units in downtown Miami are fabulous. All of the buildings are really great, and there are a lot of opportunities for purchasing real estate in this area, from the lower to the middle to the higher tiered pricing. You have a lot of different options. Okay, I hope that this helped answer some questions about the pros and cons of downtown Miami, some good and some bad. That's how every neighborhood is though, right? But there's a lot to know about buying real estate in our area, and if you would like to reach out to us, we are happy to help you make a smooth move to our beautiful city. My name is Jamie Pretzi. This is my husband, Ogden Pretzi. You can find us online on Instagram at The Pretzis. Don't forget to download our relocation guide, and we will see you soon.